Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some kind of bad news when it comes to basically the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, GPU, Switches, and pretty much the overall global economy, because at this point in life, what else is possibly going wrong? There's always something going on and some sort of shortage and some sort of issue and some sort of everything all throughout the world that just makes it harder for all of us to go and get our consoles. When at the end of the day, we just want to go and be able to go buy a car and go buy a house and get a console and get an Xbox. But of course, there's always some sort of issue going on. So this is actually more so in regards to basically China and basically the overall global supply chain, because there's been a lot of really big issues going on. Well, when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to COVID, when it comes to Omicron, when it comes to all that stuff. And I'm sure you guys know it's also big issues when it comes to moving, shipping, and basically changing up everything. And not even just for normal consoles themselves, but as well for food, for meat, for like laptops, literally anything you can go and name. It's going to be a little bit of an issue. So I kind of want to talk about this news because it's been kind of floating around a lot more. We saw some stuff on the PS5 Restock Reddit too as well, and just a lot of stuff. And it is a kind of intriguing topic because we've covered things like boats crash, and we've covered things like, the Suez Canal. We've covered people like Joe Biden trying to go and do all these other different types of trade things and everything up the wazoo. And this is just another one on the very top of the cake that's just hard to go and deal with. So if you guys want to go and, of course, subscribe. If you guys are new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 disc, digital console, and controller. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, linked down below. And, of course, sign up for Weeble. Deposit $100, get a bunch of free stock and free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And let's go and dive on this video. So, as I mentioned, we're actually kind of seeing some really kind of bad economic stuff when it comes to China. And I'm sure you guys also know, once again, China makes a lot of stuff, moves a lot of stuff, is basically a really big central hub of also just basically just getting a lot of ports, moving, storaging, and basically just allocating a lot of different stuff everywhere. And this definitely 100% affects gaming consoles, Switches, etc., etc. And it's been kind of bad these past few weeks. So we actually have a really cool article here from CNN basically showing China is risking a big hit to the economy and supply chains with basically a zero Omicron approach, which is kind of going good, but it's also kind of going bad, but it's also kind of going pretty bad. So let's go and talk about it. So basically with this is going to be regards to kind of more of the general world, but it all kind of relates back to consoles. So the Chinese government unwavering insistence on stamping out any trace of the coronavirus is facing its biggest test yet as authorities grapple with Omicron's quickening spread. And it could cost the world's second largest economy dearly this year. So because the COVID variant has been cropping up against China in recent days, including and more so in major port cities like Dalian and Taizhou, which hopefully I said that right, prompting restrictions that could upend business operations in these places. The rest of the world is also dealing with Omicron, but China is different because of how intent authorities are preventing any widespread outbreak by locking now down cities and also curbing travel. So as you guys can probably go and see two things, what you guys can just know from this. Number one is that a major big cities, we've actually been seeing, of course, the pandemic kind of showing up even more, COVID showing up, and as well the same fact that, well, they also want to go and instantaneously go and break down the entire cities if they need to. And that also means in terms of like shutting down ports and shutting down movements. And I'm sure you guys can go and put the two and two together, where if basically the same issue we had in America, if you have to shut down ports and you basically have no one working, it kind of just not a good situation. So basically their strict approach has so far been effective, which is the good thing, but the bad thing is you keep on shutting down the economy and just basically it's not good. So China has recorded far fewer COVID-19 cases than many other nations during the pandemic, and its economy was the only major one to grow in 2020. Omicron, though, threatens to expose some serious flaws in that plan. The variant is much more transmissible than others, making it certain to difficult to contain. And as the rest of the world learns to live with the virus, economist says China's zero-tolerance strategy is likely to do more bad than good in 2022. So a good example of this is even Goldman Sachs also wants to go and kind of shut down their production rate for the Chinese economic growth. So kind of the more the end-all be-all for a lot of this stuff is, either way when it comes to Corona, either or, like, I'm not someone who's too, like, I'm not trying to push you guys to get a vax or like, whatever it has to go do. Like, if you guys, whatever you guys want to do, you guys are perfectly fine to go and do. This is not the channel for it. Like, I just want to go and show you guys that when it comes to all this type of stuff, when it comes to economies, when you have major supply ports, this even does happen to America too as well, where you also have that big issue where if you have a lot of folks and they all get sick and they all have to call off of work and they have to quarantine, which rightfully so, no one wants to go get sick. It's all okay with me. It does go and tone down a lot in both in production and also in terms of moving supplies and also getting like consoles and GPUs and other various things out of the actual like cargo ships that they're being delivered, because it's not good. Like, so it's kind of like, this is not just like a pure China thing, but it's kind of a pretty much everywhere thing too as well. But China especially recently has been getting more and more affected by it too in general. And like, it can kind of go either way. China's trying to be more so on the hardcore lockdown, making sure it doesn't spread. And this point for us in America, it kind of seems like it's just everywhere, you know. But thankfully, it is like not as, you know, not as basically life-threatening, so it's a little bit more easier to kind of deal with, but you still want to go in quarantine and kind of deal with it. At least is what the CDC goes and says as of now. Once again, I'm not like, whatever you guys want to say for COVID, what do you guys want to do? Not my place to say, just we just know that ports are getting shut down, and it's hard to go get stuff, whether it's TVs, whether it's laptops, whether it's consoles. It's just not going to as well, so it's just not good to see. So basically, Morgan Stanley is also taking a similar view. The Omicron could also mean the cost of a zero COVID approach outweigh the benefits. Last week, its analysis forecast growth of 4.9 in the first quarter, but suspected it actually goes and slow down to 4.2 per 2 as well as it goes and spreads to other regions in major multiple city lockdowns. But the big issue is, once again, going to port cities and locking that down too as well. So a big thing is also to do with the threats of supply chains. So along with the country's precarious services sector, which is really struggling because of sporadic COVID outbreaks and antivirus measures, Omicron could also deal with blow then now to the factories as well, which is just, it's just kind of like the cherry on top of just all these issues, making literally everything. Because a lot of these places also are shutting down. It gets hard to get back in the groove. People have to go and, like, basically if one person gets sick, a lot of other folks have to get sick, and they all basically just go and will have to be sitting down and locked down in the first place. And it kind of just makes it hard to even just go and have a normal working job. Like, it's hard to go and do, you know? So an outbreak of the older Delta variant actually forced the industrial hub of Zayzin, hopefully I said that right, into lockdown earlier this year, and that actually once again affected a lot of production of global chip makers. And then while that may not necessarily say for Samsung and Micron, also does affect all the other global economies too as well, other global chip competitors. Basically means maybe other chip competitors have to go make even more. It's just not good. And then with this, there's also the Omicron cases detected, then once again, the major port cities. Ship congestion at the Chinese ports have also worsened recently too as well, because we also have these stricter COVID restrictions because of the outbreaks too on top of that as well. And they're also tightening testing policies ahead of the Chinese New Year holiday season too, which is coming up in a few weeks. So it's kind of like, say, like how people always say it's like super spread stuff for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, all that type of, you know, all that type of jazz too as well. So a good example too is also for Shenzhen, which has begun restricting truckers bringing in loaded containers, which once again, how do you guys think you move a lot of these different types of products on ships, on trucks, on trains, on airplanes too as well? Starting Friday, truckers can only enter the terminal if they have bookings for export bound containers and vessels arriving within 3 days too as well. So basically we just see China go and throw in restrictions after restrictions after restrictions, which kind of makes sense. It's literally China. But basically what that means is messing with ports, messing with normal travel, messing with storage, messing with pretty much everything, and it makes it a lot harder for these to go and do. And this also adds to the same thing we saw with other places in America, where there's have a massive backlog then of containers waiting to leave, the ships then waiting to dock, and then also on top of that too, you have a lot of these companies that basically need these products 3 months ago, a month ago, a week ago, today, and then now still having all these major issues too as well. So thankfully there doesn't seem like there's a lasting impact on trade too as well, as we even saw customs data released Friday show that exports actually jumped 21% in December from a year ago, which is actually very nice. Kind of cool to go and see with that as well. So it could be good, could be bad, can kind of go either way, but it definitely kind of seems a little bit more on the scarier side. And of course, too, as well, it kind of just comes to the end of the day that it's just hard to go and have people consistently working, because you have someone working there. Like I said, if someone gets sick, a lot of them basically have to go and take a break. They have to go and, you know, basically quarantine. And after all that, then literally no one's working, or you're working at a lower supply, or basically just your whole port could be very on the chill side. And a lot of these places, since they're so backlogged and everyone's trying to make as much as they can, you can't even work 24/7, because sometimes you have to basically shut down the actual port itself and wait a few days, or even have to like work on like half capacity. So it's really kind of rough. It's kind of rough to see. And I know some of this is a little bit more related to on the COVID side. Once again, like that's not my place to go and say on anything. You guys do whatever you guys go do and whatever you guys see fit. But when it comes to this, it does go and affect a lot of these supply chains, because we have been still affecting this up in the UK, in Canada, in America itself. People are getting sick. We don't have enough workers dealing with the actual, like, basically the warehouses and just the storage containers and everything coming on in. And all this put together, especially when people are making stuff in other different types of countries and trying to ship it across the world, it definitely goes and affects a lot of these different types of PlayStations, Xboxes, GPUs, laptops, cars, literally clothing, anything of this sort that has to be moved and shipped and made in different countries. It's not good. So kind of give me your thoughts and comments down below. I know the whole entire economy has been floating everywhere. Everything's been the craziest, weirdest stuff these past few years, especially at this point. So I just hope you guys go get your consoles ASAP. But I kind of want to keep you guys in the loop, and the loop, because sometimes this stuff is kind of crazy, so it's kind of rough. So I do appreciate you guys so much for watching. Give me all your thoughts and comments down below as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. And for the PS5 giveaway going on, and the Amazon links down below for the PS5 digital consoles and controllers, Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100. You guys go get free stock and free money. Same with that Coinbase too as well. And I just appreciate you guys so much for watching in the first place. I love you guys all, and I'll see you guys later on throughout today for a bunch more videos.